Hi there, my name is Kim Moon and I'm a Western astrologer and twin flame channel. And this is a video about not the Capricorn new moon. Oh my goodness, that was for first look. The Gemini full moon taking place on December 15th at 4:01 a.m. Eastern. If you happen to be on the eastern seaboard of the United States, definitely check a time zone converter for your local time. Really grateful to be here with you for our second to last lunar update of 2024. Oh my gosh, the year went by so fast. I cannot believe I'm saying that. Um, this has been such a enriching year, and I feel like the tail end of this year is where we're all starting to get a handle on the fact that change is inevitable and we need to learn how to work with it. And this full moon in Gemini certainly adds to the mix. Mutable sign Gemini does really well with change, has a lot of capacity for flexibility. There is our full moon. We certainly see a few really interesting aspects. We've got Neptune, we've got a semi-sextile from Uranus, we've got a square from Neptune, we've got a conjunction there from Jupiter. We also see Saturn a little bit in square there, and we have the opposition, of course, from the Sun. We have a little communication there in sextile from Chiron as well. All in all, this combination of energies is a continuation in a series of new and full moons attempting to break us from our attachments, free us from our ruts, help us see life in new ways, actualize our dreams by supporting our release from current and known circumstances and ways of being. This particular full moon is about finding new ways of thinking and unexpected insights, intuitions, and invitations. The more we can say yes in this energy, or yes and for my improv people, the more we can find the open door toward our intentions being manifested as our new reality. I go into great detail about that in the Lightworker Energy Update. Definitely have a listen if you'd like some more intel. This is the Twin Flame Lunar Update, which I'm about to get into in a moment. We'll see what Juno, the divine feminine energy, and Jupiter, the divine masculine energy, are up to. But before we get into it, I want to let you know any readings booked at this point will now be in January. The December calendar is booked up. Thanks for everyone who's booked. Really grateful to chat with you. Relationship readings have been extended. They used to be called twin flame readings, but many of you have noticed I am moving out of that work here on this channel. And the relationship readings will be available until Sunday, the day this is published. After that, for the sale, 30% off. They will go back into the vault on December 17th. They'll be full price after today, after Sunday, but they'll go back into the vault on December 17th. That will be the close of the relationship heavy eclipse season, 90 days out from that last eclipse. They'll return at some point during the Venus and Juno retrograde, but until then, we're going to be focused on the personal readings and some of the life-changing work that we can do for ourselves. Happy holidays and thank you for an amazing year. And like I said, if you want more details about this full moon, then go ahead and watch that Lightworker Energy Update. This functions as a part 2 to that lunar update. Let's start with the Divine Feminine, whom I read. Use the energy of Juno for her energy. She is the divine counterpart of Jupiter, the god of Mount Olympus. So she is the goddess of Mount Olympus. We see her there in Scorpio at 14 degrees. She is in an interesting conversation. Come back. Here we go. With Venus. She's square Venus, conjunct Chariclo there in Aquarius. Both Venus at 9, Chariclo at the 14th degree. I've spoken a lot to those of you who are in triangle situations in your love life, of various types, different types of triangles, because this Venusian energy Venus retrograde and the Juno retrograde are really going to speak quite loudly to resolving triangles that aren't working well for you, where there's secrets, lies, deception, or splitting, the opposite of union energy, where your heart is in one place, but your body's in another, and your head is in a third. Maybe you're not in a triangle, maybe you're in a rhombus. I don't know. But the upcoming Venus and Juno retrograde, which will take place next year, they'll be at it simultaneously, which is very rare. It's really going to help us work through energy where we are split in any capacity so that union energy that we talk about can start to be manifest in us and thus manifest in the third dimension. So for the triangulated, you may find that the masculine energied counterpart, because Venus is in conversation with Jupiter. I read Venus more as a soulmate sort of energy if you're going to go by these sort of classical twin flame terms or divine counterpart terms. We see Venus in harmony with Jupiter, who's the divine masculine. We see Juno in a difficult conversation with that other feminine energy and in no conversation, technically what's called inconjunct with the divine masculine energy. And for those of you who consider themselves occupying majority of divine feminine, you look at yourself and you say, I am, quote unquote, the divine feminine. They are, quote unquote, the divine masculine, right? When I read to you and share the divine masculine energies, you recognize none of that in yourself. You only recognize what's happening in the divine feminine energy. You're in this sort of split energy, right? For those of you who are triangulated in split energy, this configuration where she is not divine feminine, not talking to divine masculine in a harmonious conversation with another feminine energy. You may actually find that if they're spending time with someone else, this may be a relief in certain ways because it gives you time to process your true intentions and where you need to make changes. Again, Lightworker Energy Update talks a lot about those, and end certain ways of being within yourself so that you can manifest the mirror showing you something different in the outer world. Now, let me talk to my non-triangulated people because I know that's a small portion of you. For my non-triangulated peeps, the same theme applies in degrees, right? So you may find at this time that you are really working on a more interior process in your feminine energy. How do I receive? How am I flexible? How do I generate and create and hold space for creation, right? That's our feminine energy. You may find that via living in that space with yourself, and again, she is in the sign of ending and transformation, putting an end to certain creations that you've outgrown, like maybe you've outgrown, let's say, an art project or a collaborative project that you've been in. You may find now's the time where you're like, yeah, I'm ready to close that out because in 2025, I want to give birth to something else. Scorpio is the sign that does that. You may find that this spaciousness between you and a counterpart, even if there's no triangle, this may actually really serve you. It may, again, know your situation. I'm not saying there is a triangle. I'm saying those of you who know there is one, this is what's probably going on. Those of you who don't have one, don't try to force one to be there in your mind. Don't get upset, worried, anxious about it. I'm just saying the divine feminine is inside of the sign that is the cocoon. Scorpio really represents this energy where the caterpillar goes in one way and comes out a completely unrecognizable being on the other side. Now, because of the Juno retrograde in 2025, we're going to see divine feminine energy transform, much like caterpillar to butterfly for the collective. Okay. And you'll see this both inside of you, those of you who read for other people, serve in different capacities. You're going to see this in your clients, male or female, because we all have divine feminine energy. And for those of you who are in exclusively divine feminine energy, and you don't see yourself in any masculine energy at all, buckle in. This may be a tougher road because the masculine energy is going to be taking a lighter trip through the zodiac next year, and that's going to be a lot of our collective reprieve. So if you can have access to your interior divine masculine energy, you're going to find 2025 a much smoother ride. For those of you who are really like, yeah, when you read for the divine masculine energy, I just don't see it in my life. It's just not there. I only see myself in the divine feminine. Well, you might want to find a way to access internally your own masculine energy to balance out the journey the divine feminine will take as she moves through the sign that deals with ending and alchemy and transformation, uh, death, closure, and then phoenix rising, resurrection. Okay. Accessing your own interior masculine energy is going to create some balance in this for you, for all of us, really, and give us an opportunity to really be in a lighter place as the masculine energy is really going to be on a very different type of journey in 2025. Now, they do get into some format of harmony as we close out 2025. But together, they are non-harmonious until about the July timeframe when Jupiter enters Cancer. He'll be in a water sign, she'll be in a water sign. There's more harmony between the two of them astrologically. Makes it a lot easier to have harmony in the third dimension. You don't have to work so hard for it. And simultaneously, it's always easier to have that interior harmony when they're in harmonious signs. But the inconjunct of all of the inharmonious aspects, the opposition, the square, the inconjunct is one of the most difficult because it's a conversation that we as astrologers consider no conversation at all. There's no access point in scorpionic energy to Gemini energy. She's in Scorpio till November of 2025. He's in Gemini until June of 2025. So there's this protracted space of no conversation astrologically. Now, that's absolutely overcomable in the third dimension. Just because they're not in conversation in the sky doesn't mean you're going to go into separation and silence and no communication in the 3D. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying the energy access is so different. There's such different energies, and any Gemini who's ever dated a Scorpio or vice versa can tell you, yeah, we're very different people. Um, that it can make getting on the same page require a lot more compassion, understanding, communication, willingness to offer grace, opportunities to ask a lot of good questions for inquiry. What did you mean by that? This is how I took that. Can we talk about this? Let's revisit this. I'm curious about this part of you. Lots of opportunity in the 3D for us to overcome the astrology by living in a place of utilizing our divinity incarnate to get on the same page. This is really where, for those of you who have been living by the astrology as if it controls you, this is where you're going to see the result of abdicating your power to the stars. For those of you who have been utilizing the astrology to make choices about which way you want your life to operate, in particular your connection, this is where you're going to see where you're at in your capacity to transcend the astrology. You're going to see the truth of what you know, what you've learned, and your capacity for implementation I've shared with you guys on this channel extraordinary amounts of tools in terms of communication and listening and therapy and attachment styles and coaching so that you have the tools to overcome and override what the astrology is doing. Okay. So, again, if this is something where you're like, yeah, Kay, I've been pushed around and gotten the worst of the astrology for too many years now in my connection, I'm ready to experience something new, book with me over at K Moon Astro. Let's have a look at the charts. Certainly do a personal reading. We can talk about your personal manifestation technique, look at your needs and connection and partnership. While the relationship readings are open, only until the 17th of December. I won't open them again until we get into the Venus and Juno retrograde, which will be in the spring of next year. But book it now. We can look at your chart, their chart, the chart of the connection, what the stars are saying, and then we can look at what your choices are so that you are not bound by the astrology, but instead empowered by it. Okay. Link to the book is below the video. Now, like I said, our interior divine feminine energy gonna be in the sign of transformation until November. She's there now. She is speaking to Venus in a square in the sign of evolution. And so this for many is going to be the opportunity to mine the connection for where your options for growth are. Now, Venus and Juno in the square. Squares always can kind of start with the shadow before we get to the creativity required to operate in the light. Okay, because they're aspects of tension. Juno is the higher octave of Venus. Venus is the love and the chemistry and the googly eyes. Juno is the marriage. She's the commitment. She's the grounded energy of establishment of something real that has boundaries in the third dimension. She's the marriage contract. With the two of these in square, you may find interiorly that what your heart is committed to and what your consciousness is drawn to might be a little at odds at this time. This is where you may find yourself starting to reckon with, deal with your doubts about your connection, your doubts about this kind of love, your doubts when it comes to union for yourself, whether you want it or don't, your doubts about the pathway in relationship altogether. You in shadow, Aquarius can be quite critical. It really understands gaps and holes that are really undermining equality, freedom for all. And so, where you have had a sense of in your connection, I know most of the people on this channel, they're not quite in some form of union yet. They're technically in what they might consider some form of separation. This is where you may start to, your shadows may begin to reveal themselves to you around where you feel trapped to or by or victimized by the connection. And these are both energies, both Scorpio and Aquarius, all the fixed signs, really potent, powerful signs in the zodiac, Leo, Taurus as well. But the shadow side or the opposite of this is victimization. And so, as we move through this energy in the closure of the year, where you may have felt victimized in your story about the other person or the connection, they won't call me, or they've been blocked, or they did this, or I've done all my healing. It's up to them. They have to do their work now. Blah, blah, blah. You throwing my hands up. It's all up to the divine. I'm powerless to do anything about this situation, right? If that's your story about your divine connection, and we've all been there, I've been in and out of it myself. If that's your story, this configuration of Venus square Juno from Aquarius to Scorpio at the Gemini full moon is going to reveal it to you. like where your powerlessness story is not serving you. Now, you may not know what to do, and I get that. Like, you may not know where to source more tools, coaching, education, learning. You may not have the information you need yet. That's one thing. But it's a different thing to say, I am so well versed, knowledgeable, all powerful about everything under the sun and everything developing under the sun that I know for a fact there's nothing out there that can help me and absolutely nothing that can shift my connection. It's broken because they're broken and it will be broken forever. You see how that's sort of like, okay, that sounds very blamey, victimy, abdication of power. Where that's going on in any format, Gemini full moon's going to reveal it, right? Now, some of you are already in some format of what you consider union. There's conversation, communication, or you're living together, or you got kids together, you're doing a business together, something, right? Um, where there is some format of union moving in the third dimension, because I've talked to you guys about this, these connections are pressing into the third dimension from the fifth. Again, it's going to show itself where there's doubt, where there is like fear. These are scorpionic things. They're going to show themselves in the divine feminine energy field through a closure to reception, closure to receiving. You're going to feel like you're not as open. You may feel a little tight. You may feel a little overthinky, like I got to think my way through this, especially with Mercury retrograde and not as heart centered, especially with Venus in an air sign. It's a very thoughtful sign at that. You may find yourself in like, I can't receive, freeze mode. If that should show itself at this full moon, know that what's trying to get revealed and what's underneath that is huge, huge opportunity to begin to get control. That's another Scorpio word over your doubts and fears, more scorpionic tendencies. That's where Juno's sitting, so that you can be empowered, the highest octave of Scorpio, to run your show in your connection. Okay. So if those things reveal themselves, take that revelation of truth as a blessing. You want to be able to see where you have been living a disempowered story. Okay. Now we have a trine to Saturn and Pisces. I don't know, it took a long time for me to get out. Glad I mean, for those of you who listen to all this, thank you. For those of you who are like, what is she even on about? I'm so sorry. I wish I had simpler language. This is just the way it comes through. But thank you for being here nonetheless. If you heard something that resonated there, please hit the like button. It helps the algorithm. Here's a trine to Saturn for her. And this is part of what's kicking off some of that truth-telling energy, right? Because Saturn wants to restore integrity or wholeness that has been lost. If we're talking about Juno and Pisces, sorry, Juno and Scorpio, the wholeness that has been lost is her empowerment. And it's been given away to fear, given away to doubt. And the empowerment has been given away to shame. It's been given away to guilt, right? These are all the shadow emotions that Scorpio deals with, and they reveal to us where our power really is. And so this Saturn energy from Pisces is saying, yeah, yeah, yeah. Have a look at this because that's some BS. That's a lie. Don't believe it. Now we're going to get into some work about how you can transcend that by cutting off, because that's what Saturn does, things that undermine you in the emotional realm, water sign Pisces, water sign Scorpio, in terms of your being able to manifest the reality of the divine connection, the marriage in the third dimension. That's Juno. Okay. Really beautiful stuff here. Now, echo some of that sentiment that I just shared as well. Because, like I said, Saturn wants to cut loose what hasn't been serving the health of the connection. Now, for some of you, some of the stuff I've already said doesn't resonate. Here's some other examples. Spending too much time doing shadow work and not enough time doing creation work, manifestation work, intention setting work, growth work. Also, and this is going to trigger a lot of people, maybe not a lot, maybe just a couple, spending too much time doing healing work and not enough time doing having work. There's a big difference between healing and having. And this is a distinction I got from my spiritual mentor. When we are constantly in the mode with our money story or our love story or our housing story, that my trauma is what's stopping me from being able to have the thing I want. If trauma is the wall and we are constantly speaking trauma, speaking pain, speaking past into our present, the only way the future can render is in alignment with what we're talking about, in alignment with what we're looking at, in alignment with what we're practicing. If we have the belief that the only way I can have the money, the house, or the love, and again, I'm talking about this because Juno really is about receiving at the highest level. That you can have this kind of love. You can have this kind of connection. And yeah, for you listening, you can have this. Everything that you thought this could be, you could have that. And that could be your life story, right? When we have it in our narrative that I can't have it until I've healed my trauma, or the only way I can have it is to heal my trauma, trauma will always be the barrier to having it. And your brain, your life will always present to you something else that has to be healed. I'm going to name some people, some names right now of people that never healed anything and still have stuff. Uh, Kanye West, uh, mm, enlightened soul, but still, she's got a lot going on. Madonna, Lady Gaga. What other names can I drop? Some people who haven't healed some stuff, but are in these streets having more than we have, right? You see what I'm saying here. You don't have to be perfect to have what you want, to have your heart's desire. And this is the difference between healing and having. And so I'm saying this because some of you have spent way too much time repeating and looping on healing, and that's blocking your capacity to have and receive this connection's fullness in the third dimension. Saturn in Pisces, Juno in Scorpio is going to reveal this for you. Another one that I see a lot, too much time looking at the past, not enough time looking forward and toward mapping out what a future together could look like. Just focus so much on what they didn't do and what I didn't do, and I feel so guilty and they should feel ashamed. That's not going to create it, okay? Too much time in the fifth dimension, not enough time in the third dimension. Where there is any kind of imbalance in your interior divine feminine energy at this time, it's going to show itself with a lot of clarity the closer we get to the Juno retrograde in 2025, starting with this Gemini full moon. Gemini is the sign of the twins. Okay? With this conversation between Saturn and Juno in water signs. For some, you've already worked through a lot of this, and this will be a time of commitment, solidification, coming together with emotional stability, this particular full moon. For others, this is going to be a time apart so that you can get control, another lovely Scorpio word, over your triggers and stop letting what the other person is doing or not doing undermine what you know is the truth in your heart about how you feel and where this is going. This Juno through Scorpio thing, especially with Saturn in communication, it's going to be a spiritual reckoning for some, and for others, it's going to be a material world grounding through the emotional fields, from the spiritual fields into the material fields of your connections, manifestation in the third dimension. Juno, again, marriage commitment. Saturn also shows itself when we are talking about commitment astrologically. We also see Neptune here in Pisces, trining that Juno. This is going to open up a lot of intuition for some divine feminine energies, spiritual connection. Some of you may be having some very potent dreams about your counterpart, getting a lot of downloads about your connection, what's happening with your person, and what you need to do spiritually, physically, mentally to aid your connections movement in the third dimension. And that's going to be here whether you're in union or separation. This Neptune energy and Saturnian energy is going to open up a little bit of a purge and purification for some who will walk through some shedding of all that is unlike love in their field and in their patterns. This will continue through the entirety of Juno retrograde in 2025, November. If that's your place, that's okay. That purge and that purification is a worth it process. But others of you won't have that. Others of you, this is really going to help you and your person go deeper into the intimate parts of yourself, reveal those to your person, expand the spiritual bond through the emotional connection to one another, and deepen your commitment. Okay. So this can play out a few different ways depending on where you're at, right? Know where you're at, know your connection. I mentioned this in the channel last set of channel messages I put out. There's more channel messages coming as we start 2025, so look out for those. Subscribe and hit the notification bell if you're new so you can get those. But this is a very personal process for all counterparts as we move toward the next union window. What you're growing through and what others are growing through is going to be very unique to your connection as these connections start to take form in the third dimension. Okay. We also see that she is opposite Uranus. Hooray for Uranian energy. We're going to get some uncertainty, some surprises, some unexpected energy in the divine feminine fields. This can also be creating an activation for some where you're opening up to a higher level of love spiritually and in the fifth dimension. And for others, taking the connection to an elevated place in the third dimension with maybe a surprise proposal or other type of making it official. I want to say with Uranus and Juno in opposition, not really the best time for romantic surprises, astrologically speaking. But between divine counterparts, I've seen there's an exponential amount of love and grace. So if you have already planned or created a romantic surprise and it went a little sideways, I have seen that love and that grace that presents itself between divine counterparts to really be able to reharmonize the two if it didn't go as expected. Okay. For others, that Uranus opposite Juno will signal that if there's been financial toxicity, both Taurus and Scorpio, where Uranus and Juno sit, are our financial related signs. If there's been any sort of financial toxicity, um, not, borrowing money, not paying it back, spending money, being overly reliant on other people's resources with not bringing something to the table as an equal half, right? Under earning and letting that be a way of life, not asking for what you need from your boss, right? Um, so many different things like not saving, not investing, whatever your financial toxicity, right? You get the umbrella idea. That can really reveal itself as a necessary part of your cleanup process as Juno retrogrades in Scorpio. This conversation with Uranus is going to help you be able to see it. Like I said, it could be revealed in dreams, so pay attention. Okay. But if there's also been toxicity of the physical intimacy type, the SE eggs word that I'm not really able to use on YouTube without, getting my video flagged. Um, if there has been that sort of toxicity, because Scorpio deals with that, the physical intimacy of the consummation type, Taurus specifically deals with the sensuality and the five senses. Juno opposite Uranus is going to reveal how much that toxicity of the physical intimacy type is a problem, impacting your union, your connection. Okay. And so you'll get the signal now, later, during juvenile retrograde time. When you get it, you're going to get the signal, oh, I got to clean that up, or this has to get cleaned up. I need to break with this pattern. I need to do a new thing for my health, for my connections' health, mentally, physically, financially, in some cases. That can really show itself at this Gemini, starting with this Gemini full moon. So this full moon is really talking to the divine counterpart, saying, yo, we want to help you get into third dimensional reality with the desires of your heart here, whatever they happen to be. Here's what's in the way that you need to facilitate correction around. Some of this is internal, exterior world, dealing with your money habits, patterns, and beliefs, physical intimacy. For others of you, it's in your interior, emotional world, just spinning around and healing and trauma patterns and never getting to the process of receiving, thinking that there's so much work you have to do, but not letting life nourish you and feed you, right? Lots of stuff can show up, different things for different people. Hit the like button if you heard something that resonates for you. Okay. Insights and revelation are going to be key in the divine feminine fields for a little while. So be paying attention, keep a journal. Some of those are going to come in randomly, but that they are straight from your connection to your ears and your heart. Lots of things to be cleared, released, and changed for elevation. Thank you, Juno and Scorpio. The deeper and more expansive our roots when it comes to connection, the part that we cannot see, the more abundant our fruit, the part that we do see. Thematically, a lot of this is going to get richer and clearer and more intense in 2025. To get ahead of this, now's the time to book a reading, especially if you want to get that relationship reading, get that savings, the 30% off. I think it totals to about $80 off. So if you're going to do it now. Let's talk about Jupiter, divine masculine energy. And for those of you who spend a lot of time anchored exclusively in divine feminine energy and consider yourself, quote unquote, the divine feminine, I really want to invite you to start listening carefully to this portion of each lunar update where I talk about Jupiter, the divine masculine energy, and switch the way you're thinking about it as not listening for what someone else is going to do and be doing, and instead be listening for what's my internal divine masculine energy called to step into? How is this manifesting for me? Union within can create union without, as above, so below. So we've got Jupiter and Gemini at the 15th degree, loosely conjunct this new moon. Definitely have a listen to that light worker energy update for clarity, as everything said there will be a true reflection of what is happening in the divine masculine energy fields. We see a sextile to Mars. Mars is about that motion, movement, and action and neutrality. And this is going to create a bit of motivation to explore. Geminis are exploratory, curious sign. Mars in Leo, Leo is our sign of sovereignty, creativity. It's about our inner child. But that combination of communication, Jupiter about expansion, Mars about movement, Jupiter and curious, exploratory sign, inquisitive sign, Gemini, Leo about creativity, and really kind of some of that manifestation energy. This is where our masculine energy may start to feel very inspired to call our shot in 2025 in regards to life, the connection, even the people we're around at this time. As Leo is one of the more generous signs of the zodiac in many ways. It loves to provide for people, and Gemini is a very communal sign of the zodiac. So there can be a lot of, just motivated to explore some things at this time in our divine masculine energy fields. Again, really rebalancing for the amount of work that's about to happen and is already underway in the divine feminine energy field. So if you're feeling heavy, you really want to start to open up to your masculine energy and find this creativity, find this communal energy, find this curiosity and inquisitiveness. What's the best that can happen, right? One of my favorite quotes from Marie Buston Moves. We see trine to Lilith conjunct Vesta there in relationship sign Libra. This is all about knowing what we want in relationship and not apologizing about it anymore. Knowing also how to self include, especially if you've operated in your masculine energy in a way that gives and provides for everyone else, but then takes nothing for yourself. This is where you make the decision to reset expectations, likely with communication, a reset or level set that will go into 2025 for you, but starts right now. So that if there are people who've been overly reliant on you and in their own victim mode, I can't do it unless you do it for me, help me, heal me, fix me, I'm stuck, broken, nothing, out of options or resources without you. And we can have that kind of relationship with so many people, so many different types of people. I've heard people have that kind of relationship with a parent who's like that, an adult child who's like that, friends, neighbors who are like that, right? Coworkers who lean on you to do their work and yours, right? Gemini full moon. Let's have a conversation, reset some expectations. Masculine energy, let's go. Let's do this for ourselves, guys. This is where we get the opportunity to begin to be creative with our Martian energy, review the actions that aren't working, reset expectations with our Jupiter and Gemini communication energy, and know what we're willing to do and not do, establish those boundaries and what we're committing to in 2025. Lilith and Vesta conjunct in Libra. Okay, now we see an opposition to the sun for Jupiter as well. This is going to open up opportunities, actual luck, and things coming together, right people showing up and right conversations taking place, being in the right time at the right place. Also, some level of redoing conversations, again, resetting expectations where you need to with people so that you can create win-win solutions and let go of situations where everyone gets the best of you and you only get what's left of you. If that's how you've been operating in your masculine energy, where is there room for the connection to manifest in the third dimension? There's not. You got to have space. And this particular Gemini full moon is calling on you to utilize your masculine energy to start to open up space. Okay. Really good stuff. We see a trine to Venus there, conjunct Chariclo. As I mentioned, for some small few, this can really play out with kind of like sort of that shadowy sort of triangulation where there's a masculine energy that's in like triangulated and tied up with a third or fourth feminine energy. Who knows, right? Especially in Aquarius, it could be multiple people. um, and so that can actually also, if there's spaciousness in a triangulated situation, for the masculine energy, if the feminine energy has gotten too heavy, right? And this is for those of you who are separated and also in these dichotomous sort of energies, right? Like I'm the feminine, they are the masculine, and never the twain shall meet, right? If that's you, and you know there's a triangle involved, so it's an even smaller group of you. Um, this is where you may find that being with some other feminine energy other than a very heavy divine feminine energy, because in Scorpio, yo, Juno's energy gets heavy, y'all. Heavy. She's doing deep work. You may find if you're a masculine energy that just rocking with some other feminine energy for a little while is going to lighten up the mutual energy inside of the connection in a way that actually serves the connection's growth long term. Now, I know some of y'all who are in these triangulated situations are sitting here listening to me going, I know she didn't just say that. I said it. I said it because it does not serve for both of you to be in these heavy energies. It actually weighs down the connection. One of you's got to be in some light. So if that light is accessible, and there's like movement with another person, I don't love to see that. Personally, I got a lot of opinions about that, having grown up in a household where there was infidelity. Nevertheless, I digress. This kind of thing can really help rebalance some of the connections energies at a time like this. Now, um, especially because I see Aquarius is one of our signs that deal with our relationship to the world stage. Aquarius deals with some of our leadership energy as well, communities in part. Gemini also deals with communities. There's a lot of collaboration here. For some of you, you may find that this is where there's talks of collaboration, working together, growth together. Some of you, it's not even going to play out in some sort of triangulated, heavy, weird way, right? Distortion of connection. It's just like you and a business partner get together and you're like, okay, yes, in my masculine energy, let's talk about how we're going to collaborate in 2025. And this is one of the ways you can utilize this Gemini full moon. And for those in non-triangulated situations as well, this is where you may have ideas, clarity, and aha moments about where and how you can elevate your love life. Some may even be in the energy of recognizing, okay, I'm ready to take it to the next level with this specific person. Revelation, aha, I am attracted to them. This is what I want. Let me move on this. And some may even be like starting to act on that in the third dimension because of Mars actions conversation with Jupiter, divine masculine energy. Now, for now, until Venus, or sorry, Juno is done opposing Uranus, which is going to be a while. It's going to be kind of in some sort of communication with Uranus all of 2025. Not a great year for romantic surprises, but nevertheless, if it's a plan, like y'all talk about it, that's great. But like out of the blue, out of nowhere, it could go a little sideways with Uranus in opposition to Juno. Trust your life if the surprise is already underway. Um, but if you can, not make it a surprise and instead, have some adult conversations about where you want connection to go, it does go a lot smoother next year. Okay. We see Jupiter in square to Saturn in Pisces, lots of balancing and grounding and keeping yourself out of grandiose ideas, starting to see what's real as you put the pedal to the metal and what needs to happen to create momentum here. And then we also see a sextile to Chiron in Aries. And this has been a long-term healing process for Jupiter. It's been a process of healing identity in our masculine energy. For some, this is about really starting to come to peace with and reconcile. Like, not all men are dogs, not all masculine energies are toxic, right? Coming into peace with and healing with the light side of masculine energy, as Aries is the first masculine sign of the zodiac, Jupiter is the divine masculine energy. Really starting to understand that, your counterpart maybe isn't trying to be toxic, they just have a distorted relationship to receiving or their own feminine energy that creates distortions in their own masculine energy, right? Really starting to rewrite some of the rules and the tropes for masculine energy here. It's been going on all of 2024. Many of you are seeing this in yourself and in others. This continues. This full moon is really giving the divine masculine energy, especially because of the square to Neptune there and Pisces, the opportunity for self-forgiveness, liberating yourself, for past mistakes or challenges, and giving yourself permission to look forward and starting to separate yourself from what hasn't served you or what has left you feeling rejected or abandoned. The first part of the Chiron narrative. Now, for those who have felt rejected or abandoned by your counterpart because they got too triggered or afraid or too lost in healing, this is where you may come to clarity that until they come out of that, you need to let them have their time to process and move forward in your life and, in particular, in love. Okay. So, beautiful energy in the divine masculine fields, lots of growth in the divine feminine fields so that she can retake her place as a strong counterpart balance by releasing a lot of shadow activity in her fields and cleaning up ways that may have shown itself. The more you can personally walk in balance in your interior divine feminine and masculine energy, the easier it will be to help reset the energetics and vibration of your connection in the third dimension. If you need any help with that, book a reading. You know where to find me. I absolutely love you guys. It's been a lot of fun to do 2025 with you. I look forward to doing 2025 with you. And we got one more left, the Capricorn New Moon on December 30th. And then we're in 2025 together. I love you guys. Hit that like button, drop a comment, and book a reading if you need one. Take great care, and bye for now.